Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Coach Scott. I'll be your host today. It is Monday, November 11th. It's Veterans Day. I want to wish a happy Veterans Day, especially to my dad, U.S. Marine. I actually spoke to him just earlier today, and I forgot it was Veterans Day, so I'm doing it on the podcast. Incidentally, my father, he's listened to the podcast at times, but he told me when I saw him down at Marine Corps Marathon, he said, one just critique. I don't know what he said actually, but here's a critique of your podcast, son. Yes, Dad? It's way too long. I can't listen to it. It's just way too long. I don't know how else to do it. We get a lot of feedback, and I guess some of the podcasts are shorter than others. So we do get a lot of feedback. People like both. So I just kind of roll with it and see how it goes, and however long it works out, that's how long it turns out to be. So if it's too long, I don't know what to tell you. Just, I don't know, listen to the parts that you like. Turn off the rest. I do want to apologize for last Friday. I am in this weird zone. And ever since, I feel like I've been in the zone ever since Lake Placid finished, where I cannot, for whatever reason, I cannot put out a podcast on a regular basis. It's like I record them, and then I just don't like something about it, and I ditch it and I start again, and I ditch it and I start again, and I've gone through these periods before. I don't know if there's a psychological thing about it or not, but last Friday was one of those cases where I probably recorded 4 or 5 podcasts, actually had a file ready to go and just never posted it. I did have some other issues. We did put out the interview with Steffanie and Kennedy about the Marine Corps Marathon. That's gotten a lot of views, so thank you guys for checking that out. And yeah, that was a good one. It was an hour and a half. That was definitely one my father will not listen to. And but it was really good. It was a good story. We got both of their stories from the Marine Corps Marathon from start to finish. A little wine involved, a little visit from Jora the cat. If you guys care to watch that one, but all in all, a great podcast. It took a long time for that one because it was so long. It takes a long time for it to compile and for it to post onto YouTube. And in that time, I decided to kind of ditch the old podcast that I did in the morning. And I think the biggest takeaway from that, the biggest regret I have from that one was that we had a number of people running half marathons this weekend that I forgot to wish good luck to. And really, that's kind of the point of Team Ordinary. So I do apologize to you guys who had races on the calendar, and I didn't mention them, but we're going to mention them now. The Indianapolis Monumental Half Marathon. Carla McCollum out there doing that one with her sister Connie set a PR. These guys are doing Boston in April, and man, they are on target to crush Boston, let me tell you. Congratulations on your finish, Carla and Connie. The Cape Canaveral Lighthouse Half Marathon, Stefanie Brown, that was her first marathon. We're going to talk about Steffanie again in just a minute. And the Syracuse Half Marathon, Maura Donovan did that one, and I believe she PR'd that one as well. So really, just an incredible weekend for you guys who got out and you did your half marathons out there. It's funny, we're kind of approaching the off season after all these major marathons, and you guys are still kicking butt here. There's still a few big races to go. Some of you guys race all year round. I almost think that we don't have a weekend where we're not going to have someone to wish good luck to in a race of some sort. It's almost that crowded, that the team is that crowded, that we have someone to congratulate or someone to wish good luck to every single week. I got one piece of feedback from our friend Travis Heidebrink. He said he missed the old podcast where I did my daily training updates. When I was training for Lake Placid, I pretty much worked out once or twice a day. And so I had that for you guys. And I think that's kind of part of my mental block with being able to put a podcast out every single day and being able to do it in one take, which we're going to do today because I have to. And I think just not having that training routine every single day, we talked about fighting for routine. I don't really have one right now. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the podcast, but it's been hard for me to kind of come up with things to say. Maybe that's part of the reason why I can't put a podcast out every single day, because I don't really have much to talk about. My training, I have been training. My weight has kind of gone up. I'm up probably 10 to 15 pounds from Lake Placid in 3 months, which isn't really good. But I have some plans in the work, and as a coach, especially now as a coach, it's something that I need to have a plan for myself especially if I'm going to be making plans for other people, going forward. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. The one thing I really wanted to start doing, and this is definitely something that we can do, with Team Ordinary, is I wanted to start acknowledging some of the people who are out there crushing it, who are out there succeeding, who are out there just getting it done. And in particular today, I want to acknowledge Steffanie Melinda Brown, who finished her very first half marathon this past weekend, the Cape Canaveral Lighthouse Half Marathon. Steffanie's been an active member of Team Ordinary. She's been active on our message board on Facebook, the Ordinary Marathoners board. Check that out if you're not a part of it. And I really just felt like this was such a great accomplishment for her, because I see, as the Team Ordinary webmaster, let's call it, I update all the race schedules, and no one's race schedule is as busy as Steffanie Brown's. Let me just tell you that. She is a busy woman. She is out there running races all the time. Now, one of the things you get when you join Team Ordinary, and you can do that at TeamOrdinary.com, when you join Team Ordinary, along with the whole bag of swag that you get, all the gear, which is really awesome. Actually, this shirt, I got to tell you, I've gotten a lot of comments on the shirt, all positive, with the exception of they do run a little bit big. So if you're kind of between sizes, definitely stay on the low end. With the exception of that, though, they wear nicely. They're very soft and comfortable and good. They're really good workout shirts. So, if you're looking for a shirt, definitely look into joining Team Ordinary. If you're already a member and you want another shirt, let me know. We'll figure something out. I don't have them for sale on the website, but I probably should. That would be a good idea. Moving forward, I'm going to do that. I'll figure out a way. So what I wanted to do is, when you sign up for Team Ordinary, you get access to our race schedule. So all of your races go on our schedule, and then I'll read them off on the podcast on the weekends, especially when you finish them, and I can congratulate you, like Steffanie, which is pretty cool, I think. But you also get a profile page. So you can upload your profile along with a picture, and we will, what I'd like to do is read some of these bios, because I think it's a good way to stay motivated. It's a good way to meet your teammates. It's just a great way to acknowledge people and what they've kind of overcome, the challenges they've faced, and the things that they're doing for themselves. And I find it's really inspirational. Now, I will say that I haven't read this before, so this is like first take. So, and I stutter and stuff when I read, so we'll see. We'll see how I approach this. And I also didn't necessarily, go through it once for grammar or anything, so I might stumble over it. But let's meet Steffanie Brown here, who submitted her bio. Now, she submitted her bio early on, and our original form for the bio was that we had 3 sections, which was why I started running. Section 2 was my favorite moments and biggest accomplishments, and Section 3 was my future goals. Now, we've changed that and updated the page, so really now all it says is it's a one-time thing. It says, tell us your running story. So we want to hear your running story. And really the reason I did that was because it was kind of getting jumbled up in between the 3 sections, and especially the future goals section, people were writing races like Steffanie did, which you'll see in a second. And once they accomplish it, then they have to kind of wipe that out and start over again. And I don't want to give you guys homework assignments. I think that's kind of, the antithesis of what we want to do here is give you guys homework assignments. So anyway, Steffanie had written this early on, and it's, let's just go through it. It's why I started running. I signed up for my first 5K in October 2013. I was at a low place and decided to walk just one 5K to prove to myself that I could, and I wanted to finish in under an hour. My best friend did the race with me and kept me from quitting halfway through. She pushed me to run at various places on the course, and when the finish line was in sight, she told me to go ahead and run through it. I did, and I was hooked, and I finished in under 47 minutes. I ran my next race, a 2-miler, 2 months later, and the rest is history. Now to my favorite moments and biggest accomplishments. In the fall of 2018, I decided to start training for a half, still never having done more than a 5K. I'll probably do it in 2020. I signed up to do a 10K in February 2019, with longer distances to follow. In January 2019, I was in the ER with an uncontrolled heart rate, rhythm, blood pressure, and went through 3 weeks of tests wondering if I'd ever run again, among more serious concerns. I was cleared on a Thursday and I ran a 5K that Sunday, though adjusting to beta blockers took a while. In February, I did my first 10K. In April, I did my first 15K, which I was unprepared for. Thought I'd signed up for a shorter race, but I did it anyway. That's funny. I just completed my second 15K 2 days ago. Now, this was back probably 2 months ago. Future goals. I'll be doing my first half marathon on November 10, 2019. Cape Canaveral Lighthouse Half Marathon. In March 2020, I'll be doing the Holy Grail Challenge at the Excalibur Distance Festival, a 5K on Saturday night, 10 miler, plus 2 miler on Sunday morning. So 2 races on Sunday. I plan to complete both the Space Coast Runner Series, minus the marathon, 12 races total. That's why you have so many races on the schedule. And the Running Zone Series, 7 races this year. And that's it. That's her bio. And I gotta say, I mean, I read this and I see, the medical issues and the initial start of how this happens. And it's really, the story is so pervasive, but it's so wonderful every single time I hear it. Sometimes you see a lot of stories sound similar, but none are the same. Is what I always feel like when I read these stories. People turn to running to cope with things. When you see, she says she's at a low place and decided to walk 1 5K. And that's where she started. And after just walking 1 5K and then going through medical issues, this weekend, she finished the Cape Canaveral Lighthouse Half Marathon, her very first half marathon. Steffanie, congratulations. I think you are the epitome of what Team Ordinary is. And that's why I wanted to start. If I was going to start reading some people's bios and reading your things on the podcast, I wanted to start with one that was timely and important, and I think yours was. So thank you, Steffanie, for participating and writing such a great reference for yourself, such a great profile. And I think when people realize what that race meant to you, I think it just makes them want you to succeed all the more. And I wish you the best of luck going forward. I can't wait to see what you got next. Aside from that, all these marathons or all these running series, why are you quitting on the marathon there, Steffanie? Minus the marathon? Come on. I'm a bad influence. I'm a very bad influence. All right, so that was kind of what I wanted to lead in with. And I do want to talk about the Ordinary Marathon quickly. Steffanie and I got together the other day. We do these things, we call them business meetings, because we actually kind of try to be serious and sit down when the baby's asleep and no one's around to bother us, where we kind of talk about Ordinary Marathoner. And we kind of make plans, and what winds up happening is we make tons of plans, and then we do maybe 40% of what we actually say we're going to do. We're trying to be better at that, trying to have better approaches to that. But one of the things we definitely talked about was the Ordinary Marathon. We're starting to make plans for next year's Ordinary Marathon. We'll still be raising money for the SamFund. The SamFund is actually joined with another charity, and for the life of me, I can't remember them. They did put our logo on their race shirt. Actually, I owe you a donation, Sam Watson. I'm going to get to that. But they put our logo on their race shirt for the New York City Marathon, which was awesome. And is that a quid pro quo? I'm going to give you a donation. You put my logo. I think that's just business, right? I'm sorry. I shouldn't talk politics. Anyway, the Ordinary Marathon. So for next year, now we've got this written in sort of a heavy pencil, so it's not in pen yet, but it's not necessarily it's not erasable pencil. We're pretty sure this is the way it's going to be. The Ordinary Marathon is planned for May 8th through May 17th of 2020. May 9th will be our live 5K in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. So if you live in the area and you want to join us on the 5K, come and join us. We are hoping to make that a sort of an annual event that we do. And we like the fact that it's kicking off the Ordinary Marathon, as opposed to last year where we had it as the culminating final event, the closing ceremonies, if you will. Now, if you're not in East Longmeadow, that's fine. You can still participate. We have 10 days of virtual racing. A lot of you guys get involved. We have a great video. If you haven't seen anything or participated in the years past, we do a video with all your pictures and we put it all together. It's on our YouTube page. By the way, our YouTube channel, please check that out and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're really trying to build that thing out, and it's really going great. I love definitely the average views of all our podcasts are slowly kind of increasing, which is what we like to see. We're at about 123 or so subscribers, but we really want to get that up to maybe closer to say 1,000, like the Facebook page, right? I mean, that would be really cool. So we're working on that, and we're really working hard on it. Anyway. So I mentioned before that we stopped doing the old podcast format where, I would train and I would go over my daily training. And the reason being that I just haven't really had a good training plan, training schedule moving forward, which as a coach is not good. But I deserve some time off after Ironman Lake Placid. It really, I'm going to do a whole podcast kind of on sort of how my weight fluctuates and how my training focus fluctuates based on the races that I have scheduled and the challenges, the way I challenge myself. But Stefany and I sat down and we said to ourselves, neither one of us are happy with our weight, not necessarily for aesthetic purposes. I think if you go through our past history and our weight history, neither one of us are really concerned with how we look. It's not like I don't want to send that message. We've talked about this before. I don't want to send that message. A lot of this is performance based. And I know now we have that whole New York Times, Nike story. I really don't want to talk about that story because I have kind of varying opinions on that. But, when it comes to weight, aside from the obvious, if you put away aesthetics, weight has a definite bearing on performance. It just does. It's a correlating factor. It is. And so both of us, we wanted to focus and diet. When you consider diet and fitness and training, all that stuff goes together. So we wanted to, along with losing weight, we wanted to make sure that we were eating right, forming good habits. And this we talked about this in our business meeting. This was all part of the plan. And so we decided to sit down and make an actual plan, which we kind of did on a rough basis. And honestly, I think we're 3 days in, and I think we need to make some tweaks here and there because we called it a 30-day commitment. We want to make a 30-day commitment to this plan. But one of the things that part of this plan was that we were going to wake up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning and get a little workout done to start our day. Now, I couldn't sleep last night. I was up until 1 and I wasn't up watching TV. I was in bed. I just couldn't sleep. And when the alarm rang, I just was like, screw this. I do have a long bike ride planned for this evening. But so I just kind of, I pushed it aside. Now that's kind of contra to the commitment that we were making. And I'll tell you the commitment we were making. There was a diet portion and there was a fitness portion. So obviously there was the wake up in the morning and get a workout done. Now I was going to combine that with another workout in the afternoon or evening. That's kind of like what I do. So the morning workout was going to be like a 30-minute spin on the bike. Nothing too intense unless I feel good. And then, but that was the plan. And then I would subsidize that with another workout, probably like 5 days a week later on, 5 out of 7 days a week later on in the day. Good plan, solid plan. And then we actually literally made a menu for the next 2 days. And of course we stopped it at 2 days. And we're already on our third day, and now I don't know what I'm making today. But we made a whole menu of the things that we were going to make for every meal. Now, Stefanie had done this bikini contest. I know. I keep saying that. About 2 years ago. And it was very successful for her to lose weight. And in a good way. It was an eating diet. It wasn't a starvation diet, all right? It's not a diet where you just forget about food, although the last couple of weeks was a little bit strange. But anyway, the meat of the diet was based off of having 5 to 6 meals per day. Smaller meals, planned meals. And we took that diet and we sort of rearranged it. Because we felt like when we were on that diet, and I tell you, especially in the earlier months of that diet, it was calorie rich. It wasn't a starvation diet. It was good. It was a good diet. So we took that kind of general plan, 5 meals a day, and we just wrote it out. This is what we're going to eat when we wake up. This is what we're going to eat at 10 o'clock, kind of a midday snack. This is what we're going to eat for lunch. This is what we're going to eat between. This is what we're going to eat for dinner. So there's 5 or 6 meals per day. So it's like your basic 3 meals, and then in between you get another meal. And the thing is, the idea behind it, or at least the idea for us in this iteration of the diet, was that once you eat, you got 2 or 3 hours till you eat again. So just chill. Just look forward to that next meal if you're that hungry. And I think what happens is we get into bad habits where we just reach for food and reach for for whatever we want to eat. And that sometimes when you reach, especially when we have, my daughter, Sam, she has snacks for school and we try to make them healthy, but healthier, right? So instead of like a Snickers bar, it's like granola bars or even like Rice Krispies treats or something like that. We try, because, she's a kid. You're not going to send her to school with an apple. she's not going to, she's going to throw it at you. And she used to be a really good eater. And I got to be honest, she's not even really that bad. But when it comes to snack at school, I'm not giving her an apple. I lost that battle already. I lost that battle already. But I don't, honestly, I don't know any parent in her school. Like I hear nothing of any kid eating like it's all, not that it's awful garbage, but it's not, it's not health food. Let's call it that. Anyway, moving on. But so what I'm saying is those are in the house, and those just being in the house, they become easy for us to grab. And then we get in a bad habit because we don't grab one, we grab two because they're small. And you're like, oh, they're just small. So you grab two. And we had the whole Halloween issue, the Halloween debacle. I was going to mail my Halloween candy to my friend Vinny. It never happened. They're sitting right here, and it's slowly, the box is dwindling down. But I got to tell you, Steph and I made this plan, and we didn't call it a 30-day challenge. You know how they always have these 30-day challenges. It's not a challenge. We wanted to make a commitment. And honestly, I think we're going to have to restrike the date because it hasn't been bad. It just hasn't been exactly perfect. And I kind of want it to be exactly perfect. I think you're allowed to fluctuate here and there. But, not waking up this morning was probably on the bad side. Anyway, so we want to do this 30-day commitment where we commit to this diet. We plan out our meals. We eat healthy. And we make sure that we get our training in. Now, we are starting the off season, so it's a little bit lighter than normal, but we still have, it's almost like it's a new routine, right? We talk about routine all the time. So it's almost like a new routine that you have to get used to. And for me, especially, having had sort of like a rough last 3 months where I haven't really had a good plan. I start a plan and I kind of fall off and I stop, it hasn't been consistent. So I need to commit to something. And I feel like there are parts of this that have already taken hold. I haven't really snacked or binged or anything like that for the last 3 days. That's a good sign. Today I went into the grocery store, and right in the front, they always have some baked goods that are probably like a day old or something, and they're trying to get rid of. And I always look at them, and as soon as I look at them, like typically what happens is my mouth starts to water, and I start to really want them, and I want to just throw them in the cart, and they're super cheap. So it's like, gee, oh, lemon squares. Like I would ever really want lemon squares or something, but they're yummy, and they're there, and they're cheap. Now, I got to be honest, I typically don't pick those up, but they typically entice me. All right. Now, today I walked into the grocery store to get some stuff for our diet, and there were the lemon squares and apple pies and some cookies. And I walked by that, and my first natural instinct was like disgust. And I don't know what that is. And maybe this is a question it's more like a question for a sports psychiatrist, I think, than for a dietitian. Because we are going to have Allison not come on the program soon. But I don't know what that is, because there are some times where I'm in a mode where I can walk by the same exact table of food and have two separate thoughts. One thought being, oh my God, I want this. And it's almost an uncontrollable desire to eat it. And then the other, at the same table on another day, I would go, ugh. How could anyone even think about buying this stuff? It's so bad for you. And I don't know what that is. I can't figure that stuff out. And I wonder if other people, I know some of you guys like to write comments in the comment section. So this is a good thing to write about. Do you guys have the same sort of experience when that happens? Like I just started this 30-day commitment with Steffanie about diet and exercise, and I feel like we have sort of flicked a switch, and I feel pretty good about it, even though we haven't been perfectly to the letter of the law with this thing. And when I walked by the table, I didn't want any of that stuff. It disgusted me. Whereas a week ago, I would have walked by the same table and I would have wanted to eat all that stuff. And I might have even purchased something from there and brought it home and binged on it or something. But I'm just wondering if that happens to you guys, because that is like a typical thing for me. It's a typical mental thing that happens to me. I'm either in mode or I'm out of mode, and I have no in between. Because I tell you, one of the things that I like, and one of the things that we're going to talk about in an upcoming podcast, is I'm going to show you sort of how over the last 20, 25 years, how my weight has fluctuated. And I'm going to give you the different mindsets that I've had within those time frames. And the thing with me is always, my weight is either going up or it's going down. And what I really want is I want for it to go down, and then I want to moderate. But that never, ever, ever works, ever. Because my mentality is always, and maybe it's just because I've trained my brain, and maybe it's because the way I was raised, it's just that my diet and my nutrition, I've never learned the right way, and it's really hard to rewire those circuits when you grow up and you eat that way for years and years and years, to know things about portion control, to know things about what's good and what's not. It's all an education system. We're going to talk, again, this is a good setup for the Allison Knott podcast. I cannot moderate. I'm either weight going up or weight going down, and it's never weight going sideways. You guys feel the same way? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. You can, talk about it on the webpage. It's interesting. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there for today. I got a podcast in. Hey, I'm happy. Again, congratulations all you guys that finished the half marathon, especially Steffanie Brown. Steffanie, thank you so much for letting me read your bio on today's podcast. There's going to be more of that going forward. I don't know if we're going to do it once a week or we'll do it. I don't know. But I feel good today, guys. I feel good. Thanks, Travis, for reaching out and telling me that you missed the old podcast with training. Because actually, that helped me flip the switch this weekend as well, too. Because it got me thinking, like, man, how I used to be on, man. I was motoring back then. I think what happens is your mindset slowly changes and you develop those bad habits, and then you lose your plan, and then you realize, eventually you realize, I got to get back on track. And that helped me. That definitely, just even mentioning that helped me out greatly. So with that, I'll see you guys later this week. And always remember, every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. So get after it, guys.